Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live show here with me, Peter Driver, in Biscari Fly. We're based down in Thomastown in County Kilkenny. Hope everybody had a great week. How you doing, Declan Noonan? Good to have you on here, Declan, with us. Who else have we got on here tonight? Richard O'Connor, how you doing, Richard? Kieran Flynn is on was there. Robert Flaherty, Peter Wadding, how you doing, Peter? Peter will be along later on the show, folks, with a little segment of the first segment of his casting clinic. He'll be along. Make sure you tune in for that one. A fantastic little piece of casting there from Peter. Deirdre Delaney's on with us there. Martin Kenny, Paul Burke, Kieran Sherlock. Hope you're well, Kieran. Hope you had a good week too. Aidan Gill, Darren Fennessy, Jim Myler, Graham Lonigan, Jamie Conway. Thank F it's Friday. Yes, absolutely. It is Friday. Michael Cadigan, how you doing, Michael? Cyril Kerr's back on it. Alison Thomas is on with us there. O'Brien from South Africa. Great to meet up with Alison there during the summer. Desmond Paul is on with us there as well. Desmond Paul sent us on some amazing videos, folks, again this year. Been a great supporter of the show, so watch out for them ones coming up later on in the series. Along with a lot of other great videos are coming in every day of the week from people that want to share information and fly tying stuff and fly fishing stuff. So it's fantastic. We got a great show lined up for you over the series, this winter series. Lots of great content coming up. And tonight, you've seen some of the posts we put up earlier on tonight. So I've been asked constantly this week about, and then over the last 2 weeks, about floating fry, tying lots of floating fry. People are catching fish on them in still waters and stuff like that. And I decided to do a full night on floating fry. I got some patterns, 4 patterns actually tonight for you, of stuff that worked for me over the years, stuff that has worked for some of our customers here that we tie for, and they found them very effective. So I'm going to tie those 4 flies for you. I've seen photographed 2 of them there for you today and put them up on Facebook. Showed you. How you doing, Richard Adam? Hope you're keeping well. How's the pumpkin picking business going over there, Richard? I'd say you're flat out now at the moment, over in County Wexford. But so yeah, so some really good fry patterns, really effective this time of the year on still waters, and can be very good in the late end or even any time to throw around the fry. How you doing, Luca? Thanks very much, Luca. How you doing, Dave? Dave Donovan is back on with us with a trivia quiz again tonight, folks, and we got a nice lucky pack here again. Well done to Wayne that won his lucky pack last week, and indeed well done to Hugh Flavin who won the flies. Dennis Gooling's on with us there as well. How you doing, Billy? Alive and kicking, good man, Billy. Dylan Roberts is on there from the Welsh Tea. How you doing, Dylan? Dennis Goulden's on there as well, folks. So best of luck to all the AWOLers this weekend. The first round of AWOL is on this weekend, and an extra bit of best of luck to Dennis Gouling, who is the new boss in AWOL. The best luck with it all, Robbie. How you doing, Robbie? Robbie is on there as well. Gerard is on there as well. But best luck to Dennis in his first year as the head of AWOL. I know Alan took a bit of a break there, and Dennis stepped up to the plate. So well done, Dennis. I won't unfortunately be able to fish it this year. It's just been a crazy summer, and just not going to get the time to fish this year. But I wish Dennis and all the crew in AWOL all the very best for a fantastic winter. I'll keep an eye on you, and I have me suspicions of who will be in the running, but sure, look, we'll keep them. We won't say nothing. You never know with that crack. But so yeah, float and fry is something that's, it's constantly being asked about. I constantly tie them. Anytime people are targeting fish that are fry chasers, they can be very, very effective. And we got some really class little patterns for you here tonight. You can give it a try. First one's a little foam. Very simple little pattern, but super effective. Now, float and fry. How you doing, Joseph? Thanks very much. Float and fry doesn't necessarily always be fished on the surface. I've found over the years. Sometimes I put them on fast intermediates and pop them from the surface down under, or a midge tip can be very effective. When you give it a pull, it'll just pop under, pop back up, pop under, and make a lot of noise in the water. I've often fished them on dive fives and everything, something like that. Absolutely, Dennis. Yeah, I've a voucher there for you guys. I'll get that over to you. You're more than welcome anytime. Thanks for all your support. Graham Stockies don't suit you. But anyway, I've often fished them on dive fives and stuff as well, and I found them really, really, really successful. Down deep, slow fished, and just above the bottom, like I do in Brennan Spillane. So here I'm using a Hanek 230BL size 10 for this particular little pattern. Okay, I say very, very simple little pattern, can be tied in a multitude of colours and combinations, and super effective. So we'll just start off with this nice little simple one. I'm going to add in a little bit of Kevlar there to start with. Hope everyone had a good week, mild enough kind of week. Not sure what the weekend is given, but I'm just going to tighten up that jaws and that just a little bit. There we go. Always good to set the vise. And what I'm going to add in here first is a little piece of white foam. Okay, so this is a little strip of white foam. I cut this actually from an Up Avon close cell foam block that we have here in the shop. I like that foam. It's a high quality foam, and I just use a simple razor blade. Slice it down with a steel ruler till I get the exact diameter I want, the exact thickness. So you can see a nice thin little piece of foam here, and I'm going to add that in there now. But before I do, I'm going to cut a little V section into the back end of that. Okay. So even as it is, it's a little bit wide, so I'm just going to trim off a little bit off the side just to make it exactly. Then the school says they were definitely on the fry on the 12th of Noel. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, you can pull your dabblers and stuff like that, but sometimes a floating fry or that's actually not the right scissors. I'm going to just pick out. Sometimes a floating fry can be very effective. So I'm just going to cut out a little V shape out of the end of that, as you can see there now. I'll just even it up a little bit. Okay, very simple little pattern, quite quick to tie. You can run these out quite fast. And I'm just going to tag that in there at the butt of that hook. I'm going to move it down a little bit. Just like so. Okay, and that's to represent the tail. Bring that up a little bit, turn it over, a little bit of Zap-A-Gap in there, just to help. Be careful with the Zap-A-Gap, don't over. Small little bit in there just helps to keep that from getting moving around too much in it. Kieran Sherlock has a bit of a question on there if anybody has any time to... Kieran, if I don't have time to read that length of a question, but I'll definitely go back on later on, have a look at it. If I can help you in any way, I certainly will. So we got a little bit of white UV straggle fritz here, and we're just going to attach that into the body of the fly there. Okay, watch out for that. And I'm going to wind that up the body. Make sure you get a couple of turns in there, right where that foam is meeting. So I'm just forming a little body, and I'll come back down a little bit to create that taper that I want to get the shape-ish of a small fry pattern, and just tie it off at the top. Hi Liam, hope you're keeping well, Liam. Liam Long is on with us there from Cork. I'm going to just brush some of that stuff, a little bit of the UV down to the sides. We're then going to take our foam, hold it over the top, and tie it in up there at the top. So really quite a simple little fry pattern. Well, I've got plenty of fish on this over the years. Wayne is on with us there as well. How you doing, Wayne? Going to add in a little bit of gleamy dubbing there. A little bit of red gleamy dubbing just up at the head of this little fry pattern. As always, when you're adding a bit of dubbing, less is more here. Just a little bit up there near the head. And I'm going to finish that off. Quite effective now as that is. Exactly tied in that simple manner. As you can see, little floating fry. A bit glary there now with the light. Little floating fry, sit quite happily on the surface. Pull it down a little bit of a little AK Batman, yeah. a little you know, midge tip I say is quite effective. Pops down, pops up. Tie it in any colour combination you want. I find the white and a little bit of red with the UV is quite good there on that. Definitely a good little pattern to have. I've got plenty thrown over here. Something else that some of the tyers do is up underneath here, they will add in, just at this particular point, they will add in a little eye, and I will actually do that now for you. I'm going to pull out an eye here, and I'm going to add in a little eye just right up there underneath. And that's so when it's floating on the surface and the fish look up, what they see is they'll see the eye, and I have the fish eye. Okay, so just add one underneath because that's what they'll see. Okay, so to add in eyes. Now when I'm adding in eyes, we're going to be adding in eyes a lot tonight. I use Solderez. I've done a lot of eyes over the years. I've used super glues. I've used Zap-A-Gap. I've used all sorts of things. What I find the best method is using UV resin. Okay, so just flatten out my area, make sure it's not too protruding out there. Just with my finger and thumb, just flatten that out a little bit. And just get that nozzle. As you can see, the nozzle is really fine. And I put a little blob exactly where I want that eye to go. Okay, a little blob of resin there, exactly where I want that eye to go. And the best thing working resin is I can take as long as I want, because until I hit it with the UV pen, it's not going to sit. So I can take as long as I want now, set my eye, get my eye ready, get it on a needle, whatever it may be, and it'll work out fine. Where if I was using super glue or Zap-A-Gap now, I'd be in a panic trying to get it tidied up, get it in there as fast as I can before it sets. But not with UV resin. So once I get that placed in roughly around the right area, what I will do is I will hold in with one finger. A little bit awkward now where the hook is, but I can get, there you go. And I give it a hit with the torch. And now it's set solid, and that is not going anywhere. So when the fish look up now, that's what they'll see. They'll see the little eye underneath the like a fry lying on its side if they're looking up. Okay. And there we have it. First simple little pattern. Nothing too complicated about that one. Just a couple of those little fibres sticking up there. Nothing too complicated with that one. Run them out very quickly. Very effective, different colour combinations, and can be super effective. You can add in that little eye underneath if you want to make it look like a fish fry, make it look like a fry pattern when you see it like that. You'll see the tail and then the little eye and stuff like that. So really interesting little pattern. It does work quite well. That's going into a tub here now I have with some extra ones I tied earlier on in the day. Don't forget, if you hit that share button on the stream, you'll thanks Alison, thanks Dennis. If you hit the share button on the stream, folks, just like last week, Hugh Flavin won the flies last week. We'll do a draw on Monday or Tuesday, and same to all our YouTubers. Hi to all our YouTubers tomorrow. This went up on you, or last week's page went up on YouTube. Last week's video went up on YouTube, and I'm not sure, Dylan, there you were asking about all the materials and stuff. Dylan, I did put up all the tie-in of each of those flies last year. Thanks, Graham. All the tie-in of those flies last year went up, and or last week, should I say, went up last week on the YouTube video, so you can see the materials that were used to tie each fly. I'll do the same this week. How you doing, Ian McIntosh? Thanks, Graham. Okay, so moving on, another little bit of a foam. So we got 4 to get through tonight, so I'm going to move on quickly enough through these as I can. If anybody has any questions or any comments, please do shoot them across in the comment section. So don't forget to hit the share, because you will be put in then for a nice little set of flies that will be tied here tonight. Well, George Burge is on with us there as well. How you doing, George? So moving on here now, we're going to tie another little foam pop, or kind of popper floating fry, and we are going to use again the Hanik 230BL. I like this hook actually. We're tying a lot with this hook now. Quite a strong hook, and not too heavy wire. Ideal for these kind of flies. Ideal for these kind of flies. Another common little fry pattern, this one. Probably my most effective of them all at the moment, I would say. Will be this one. Starting off with a little bit of Kevlar again. All these little flies can be all tied in ranges of sizes, quite large for bass or pike if you like, or bigger trout, and even smaller sizes. Tidy it up. Now we're going to add a little bit of foam tube. Garrett, hey Darius is on with us there. Will do, Dave. Yeah, Mum and Dad's 50th anniversary tomorrow. That's why we're actually Saturday Night Live is on Friday night this week, folks. Mum and Dad's fly recipes. They're up on the YouTube. They're up on the YouTube channel there. Mum and Dad's 50th wedding anniversary tomorrow. So I'm just adding a little bit of foam here, foam tubing, and I just basically tapered it down there, just as I added in, so I don't put too much bulk onto the body, okay? I normally leave it quite long to start with. We can work on that foam in a moment or two when we get back up to finish the fly. Secured in well. You're good to go. Come down the tail a bit. Yeah, 50 years. 50 years. Imagine that. 50 years married, mum and dad. I don't know who done the better too. Yeah, great folks. Great crack. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of 0.12, monofilament here. And this is going to act as a rib and help secure in that zonker strip that's going to be on this particular pattern. Yeah, not a very overcomplicated pattern, but can be a tricky little pattern when it's done right and you get a good understanding of what it actually, how we can manipulate how this is going to move through the water and stuff like that. Here I got some Haynes metallic silver dubbin. And I'm just going to form a body with that. Again, colour combinations or whatever suits yourself. Let's just wind them up there. And just, there's plenty. There we go. Nice little dubbin. I like that metallic dubbin. It brushes out quite well. And very nice little dubbin. Then I'm going to take a little piece. This is a muskrat zonker strip. Okay, a little bit of muskrat. I use squirrel. I tend to use the smaller stuff. I use a little bit of mink. I rarely use rabbit on something this size. It's quite big. If I do have to use rabbit, I have to cut it down a bit. We did that in a previous video. If anyone wants to see that again, I can include it in another video how I cut down the rabbit strip. But because it can be awkward to cut with blades and stuff, but there is a technique we use with scissors to cut it down. So this little muskrat is quite soft, a lovely natural grey. I do use squirrels and I use mink because they are a smaller and much shorter material, better for these little zonkers and stuff like that. So I'm just attaching that in there at the back of the thread, and I've just left a little bit of, as you can see, the skin just up there near the little bit of that skin just left sticking up there at the foam. And I'll trim that up in a little while. The reason why I don't cut off that now, in case anything goes wrong along the way, we just moisten up our finger and thumb and just stand up those hairs like so. Makes it easy just to split them up and get your ribbon into the exact position of where you want to be, that you're not going to trap down any of the hair. Allows me to come in there, get right on the skin and get a good lock down and that, tighten it up, position it perfectly, and then start making your way up the body in the same fashion. Just separating the hairs, getting in there. It makes for a very nice, neat wing on the fly. How you doing, Tim? Tim Sullivan is on there from Montana. Good to have you on with us, Tim. Great to have everyone back on here with us this year. It's our second show, folks, and we got some great stuff lined up this year. Now, really have. We're just starting back into it. Say it's our second show, but we have some really good content coming up this year. Some great guests, some new faces on. Some of the older faces are back again with more great content and information. Thanks very much for everyone who's sharing. And indeed, if there's anyone out there that wants to share anymore, you're more than welcome to come on here and contribute to the group. Everyone's very welcome. Now I just trim away that little bit. Once I'm satisfied that I've got it tidied up nicely, now I've got my nice little zonker attached well to the body, as you can see. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just trim off that tail just back there a little bit. Just get the tip of the scissors in. Trim it off exactly to the length I want, a little bit longer than I like, so I'll go a little bit less. And just to give it a nice little taper, I'll just take out them corners off the back. Just like so. Lovely. You can go a little bit less if you want, but I'm quite happy with that kind of length. Hey Brian, thanks very much. So there we have our little zonker added in onto our metallic body. What I'll do now is I'll get my dubbin brush and I'll actually brush a bit of that metallic dubbin, and it kind of comes up on the wing a little bit, just covers any of that skin or any of that work we've done there with the ribbon, and it just makes it a lovely seamless kind of body and wing there. I'm going to take a little bit of the red metallic dubbin by Haynes now again. All this stuff is all available in the shop there. I'll put up this tying list again on YouTube tomorrow probably, folks, or it could be even Sunday because tomorrow's a busy day. I'll actually do the cooking for the anniversary dinner tomorrow, so for mom and dad. But so some stage over the weekend I get up and I will tie in the recipe. But you can find a lot of these materials, most of them, on our website, biscarifly.com. Do check it out if you need any fly tying or fly fishing gear. I'm just going to add in a little bit of that red. I might put another little bit in there actually. Metallic dubbin. Just another little bit just to leave it nice up around the edge. Perfect. Tie it off. You can add a little bit of flash in there in the wing if you like, or whatever else, but I tend to keep these as kind of these particular ones as natural. And again, I'll just brush out a little bit of metallic dubbin to get some of those fibres out there and get it just coming back up onto that wing a little bit. Make a nice natural transition from the silver to the red. Lovely little fry pattern. A very attractive little fly pattern actually. Fry pattern, even without the foam and stuff on it, you know, it can be it's very, very effective. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add in 2 eyes again. Okay, we're using, and this particular one is the Sabaya Hollow Red 3D eyes. I use all the Sabaya stuff, find them fantastic eyes, really nice colours, really nice size range. You can again check them out on our website. They're all up there on our website. We keep a good enough stock of them. These are nice holographic kind of are they holographic? These are holographic red. They're the holographic red. The ones I used before, and the last one was 2.6 mil silver, holographic silver. So these are the red ones. So again, we're going to go back to our Solderez. Fly has gone on the side. I put my little dab of Solderez again, just with my finger. I was going to make sure I press everything down so I can get that Solderez nice and exactly where you want your eye to go. Again, you've got all the time in the world now just to find your needle. Of course, I've lost mine. There it is. But there's no panic because of the resin won't set. I put it onto a needle, find it the easiest, place that needle into position, the eye into position, I should say. Then with my thumb, I just press against it, holding it in against the resin, and hit it a zap of that paint, and that eye is not going anywhere, folks. I've used super glues, I've used Zap-A-Gaps, I've used flexi glues over the years, everything. This is, in my experience, which is for what it's worth, is the best way to set eyes, and the easiest. I've often used set eyes with super glues and stuff like that, and maybe too much super glue come out and you destroy an entire fly, and it's so frustrating. Or just, you know, you're trying to work at speed before the super glue soaks in or sets. So again, once I get my eye in position, just turn it a bit to the side so I can see the eye on this side as well as this side, to match them up as close as I can. And then once I got it in position, using my thumb, pushing it around, once I got in position, press hard and set it in, and that is not going anywhere. And there we have a lovely little minky popper floating fry. Okay, now the thing about this, I still have quite a large piece of foam here. So if I was going to fish this as a floating fry, I'd cut that off pretty square, maybe not that long, but I would cut it off pretty square, a little bit shallower, and that'll do perfectly. It'll float well, fish really, thanks Kieran, it'll fish really well. But let's say if I wanted to pull this, just under the surface, and I want a lot of articulation from that, okay, if I cut it at an angle like so, it's going to give me a completely different articulation than if I cut it at an angle like so. Okay? You understand? Because if I cut it like that, okay, now when that gets pulled through the water, that flat face is going to force that little fry pattern to flutter all over the place. It really will. If I cut it at that angle, if I had cut it back at that angle, it would actually make it dive, because it'd be like the pressure of the line pulling against the water will actually make that little the head of that just pop down, keep popping down. Okay, so I'd fish it on the point, Kieran. I'd fish it on the point, always a point fly. So be aware of when you cut your foam, of, you know, that if you're going to sink it a little bit under the surface, you can get quite a decent piece of articulation off of that fly by the way you cut your foam. So I'd have them in the box, and some of them are cut right back, like, you know, because one way works better than another. So for just normal floating, I'd leave it dead square, I wouldn't bother. But like when I'm actually stripping them, if I'm going to strip them under the surface on a midge tip or a fast class or something like that, I will actually cut the foam in a particular way to help and try it. And just even when you try it, and just pull it along and get a look at it coming along in the bank beside you. If you get someone maybe standing 20 yards above you, it's the best way I can describe how to do it, is, and cast up the bank, and then you can watch it stripped as they strip it back, because you need a fly line to get it down under the surface a little bit, so you won't get too much of an opportunity yourself. And you'll see the articulation that cutting that foam in different ways will get off of that little fry pattern can be absolutely lethal for chasing fish that keep chasing but just won't attack. But that little bit of extra articulation can be the difference between hookups and not hookups. So there you go, folks. A lovely little popper streamer, very effective. Using that one a long time. You know, quite simple. The color. Garrett, good question. All depends what way the fish want it, Garrett. Sometimes I'll strip it roly-poly as fast as I can pull it and then stop it dead in the water if I'm fishing it that way. Sometimes I fish it like a dry fly. Just put it out there, tighten up on it, give it a pull to straighten out the leader, and then just leave it sit there. How you doing? Thomas is on with us there. You know, it all depends on what way the fish wanted on that particular day. The whole trick, the fishing popper fry or floating fry for me is to find out what way the fish want it. You know, fry patterns in general, how fast do they want to retrieve? Do they want to retrieve to chase and then stop it dead, or do you just keep on pulling till they lock up? You know, that's basically it. But there we go, folks. There's the second fly of our night. That's our 2 foam flies. We got 2, especially one amazing little CDC fly and a great little story behind it coming up after the break. We're going to take a little break now and head over to Peter Wadding in County Wexford. Peter's a Goya qualified cast instructor, single and double-handed, a fantastic cast instructor, and he made us a series of little videos for the show for the season. So his first installment is coming up there now. Thanks, Garrett. On a dead roll, and yep, and we got 2 amazing flies coming up after the break. So do stick with us, folks. We will be back in a few moments. Don't forget to share. Thanks, Kieran. Don't forget to share the stream. Hit that share button. That gets you into, or send a comment, of course, and the YouTubers tomorrow. If you comment on the stream, we will get you into the draw on Monday or Tuesday to win all tonight's flies. And Dave will be along now shortly with his trivia quiz, of course. Again, I'm sure everyone's excited. We had a lovely little lucky bag there. Thanks, Andrew. Lovely little lucky bag there. Well worth winning. And Dave will be along with that one after the break. So stay tuned, folks. I'll be back in a few moments, and enjoy Peter Wadding.
Up to what we call our key position. Pause to allow the dealer to form, and then we make a forward cast like so. Once more, straight line incline, up to the key position, pause to allow the dealer to form. Hello everybody, and welcome to this week's instalment of Casting Clinic with me, Peter Wadding. Today you've joined me on the banks of the River Slaney, where we're going to discuss and explain and demonstrate the uses of a deadline roll cast. So the first thing to consider is, why would we use a deadline roll cast? Well, from a fishing perspective, if we've got a location where there's a high bank behind us, or trees or something that could potentially snag our flies, it's more beneficial to use a deadline roll cast, because even the shallowest of D-loops, we can still avoid those trees and still make a reasonable presentation out to the fish. Secondly, from a functional perspective, if I'm fishing with a sinking line, it's going to sink in the water column. And I can use a roll cast to lift that sinking line, bring it closer to the surface, and then I can use it to transition into an overhead cast and present it another way. Now, before I actually just show you the cast itself, I want to talk you through some little bits of terminology. So, as I lift this line here, you will see where this line comes in contact with the water is known as point P. It's just a term where it comes in touch with the water, and it's adjustable. Here, it's here right now. If I drop the rod a little bit more, it's up here. Just a term. Anything below point P is known as the anchor, and anything above point P is known as the D-loop. And it's the combination of the D-loop and the anchor that allows the rod to load. We make our forward cast, and it's able to go out. Okay. I should also mention as well, when making this cast, the D-loop and the rod tip, they're like a set of parallel lines. So if I just face the camera for the moment, if I'm going to make that cast, they're like a set of parallel lines. My D-loop and my rod tip should never cross over, because if they do, the cast will fail and it will collapse. So, what does the cast itself look like? I'm going to demonstrate now. I'm going to show you a couple of deadline roll casts, and then we'll talk through the process. So, what was going on there? I start with my rod tip nice and low to the water, and my rod tip is going to move in what's called a straight line incline. Then once the rod tip passes my shoulder, it must be rising. Then we come to what's called the key position. There's a pause to allow our D-loop to form, and then we make our forward stroke. So the rod tip is nice and low. It's moving in a straight line incline. It has passed my shoulder. We've now got that pause to allow the D-loop to form. When looking at the forward stroke itself, as you can see, there's a gap between my wrist and the rod butt of approximately 2 fingers. And by the time I have completed the forward stroke, that gap will have been closed. So as I'm making the forward cast, my wrist and the rod butt are becoming closer and closer together until we reach the end of our forward stroke. So what that looks like is, let's start again, with the rod tip nice and low, straight line incline, up to what we call our key position, pause to allow the D-loop to form, and then we make the forward cast like so. Once more, straight line incline, up to the key position, pause to allow the D-loop to form, and we make our forward cast. So there it is in a nutshell what the deadline roll cast looks like. I hope it is of benefit to you someday, and hopefully it catches you a few extra fish. Tight lines. Up to what we call our key position, pause to allow the D-loop to form, and then we make the forward cast like so. Once more, straight line incline, up to the key position, pause to allow the D-loop to form.
There we go. Peter was on with us there doing that dead roll. Great cast to have. Indeed, you know, this is the time of year, folks, where I'll always say this is the time of year you should be working on your casting coming into the winter months. You know, I certainly spend a bit of time over the winter months practicing. Obviously, I'm a cast instructor as well, so we got to practice a certain amount. But you know, it is a great time of the year to start, you know, thinking about, you know, I've always wanted to learn to double haul. This is the time of year to learn. I always find that during the fishing season you're too preoccupied with fishing to really put the time that you need into your cast to learn any particular style of casting. So really good to have Peter on with us there. He's done a couple of nice videos for us. We'll progress through them throughout the series. So thanks a million for that, Peter. But great time of the year to get out on the grass. Best place to practice on the grass. Nice to see Peter on the river there. Nice summer's evening. Wouldn't we all love to be back in that little stream where Peter was standing there now catching a few trout, hopefully. Or at least fishing for them anyway. I don't know about catching, but we'd be fishing for them. But thanks, Dylan. I'll pass that. Peter's on us there as well. So thanks a million, Peter, for that. So we're going to move on here, folks, now again. And we're going to move to another little pin fry pattern here. We're moving over away from the foam now and gone into CDC. So again, I have the 230 BL Hanick size 10 in the vise. And Dave is on there passing his regards as well. Well done, Richard. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks a million for Peter. It's great people take their time out and, you know, take their time out to make these videos. It's not something you do in a whim. It's not something you do over a couple of minutes. Take a quick break during fishing. They take a bit of time. So, and Robbie Berry as well, a contributor to the show now. He's going to be a regular contributor. He's made a number of absolutely amazing videos about taxidermy and stuff like that. We've seen his intro last week. He'll be along. Thanks, Glenn. He'll be along over the next couple of weeks with some really fascinating stuff. If you're into fly tying, you know, we all love our feathers and stuff like that, feather care. I know it takes a bit of time, and these guys contributed to the show here, which is, yeah, absolutely fantastic to have them here. Great stuff, guys. So, again, back to the fly here now, size 10. Dave is coming up there, and it's the 5th correct answer this week, folks. So the person that answers the fifth correct answer will win the prize. Right, so Dave will keep an eye on that one. We got a lovely goodie bag here as always to give away. Post it to your door. Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, we've got some really good stuff coming up this year, folks. Stay tuned throughout the season as we get into the thick of the winter, when we all need a little bit of cheering up and a bit of something to really food for thought. We're going to put up some great stuff. So here I got about a nice little bunch of about 10 CDC plumes. Okay, not overly big ones, lovely soft ones. And we're going to add that into the top of our in here over the eye of the hook. Okay. Couple of turns, pull down, good bit of tension on that thread. I'm also supporting the hook with my finger and thumb just to get them well secured in there like so. Okay, don't be afraid to give a nice lump. This is a size 10. We want this thing to really, thanks Jamie, we want this thing to really sport. Get your scissors in there along, as you can see, along the blade of the hook. And I'm going to cut that back along at a taper so I get a nice even taper back on that fly, so it won't affect my body that's coming up along in a few moments. And we'll trap all that down and get it all nice and neat. I know a lot of tyers tying a lot of these style of flies. Really effective, seen a good few over the years. Not 100% sure where they originated, but definitely are very, very good for floating fry pattern. In the tail I'm going to put a little bit of bronze mallard, small piece of bronze mallard. Sometimes I put a bit of depends on the pattern. Sometimes I will put in a bit of micro glint there or something. Depends, I say, on the pattern. A couple of turns in there. Take out one or two more of those. Actually, it's a little bit on the heavy side. There we go. Now we're going to add in a piece of Uni Mylar Peacock and Orange. Okay, and this is size 14. I'm wrong. I'm not going to add that in now. I'm going to add that in after I add in some Uni Mylar Pearl size 14. Okay, so Uni Mylar Pearl size 14. And then we're going to add in our Mylar. Copper side up, folks. Copper side up when you add it in. We want the peacock side when we're actually tying the fly. So copper side up. Get two of them back in there, holding the tail and those two pieces of Mylar in position. Come down along onto the bare hook and secure them down. And then start tapering back up your body. You will have a little bump or a hump there somewhere between the CDC ending and that Mylar. So I'll just spend a moment or two here with my Kevlar. Just getting that level out as best I can. Dave Toohey, Isaac Walton. Thank you, Dave. As always, Dave. You're like Jimmy McGee there, Dave, at the flight time. Vast amount of knowledge Dave has. Dave Toohey up in Mount Mellick. Fantastic flight here. If any of you aren't friends with him on Facebook, you got to go on there and check out some of his tie-ins. Absolutely stunning flight tie-in. So I'm going to pull that little bit of peacock over the top and leave that up the back. Make sure it's directly up the back. Okay, a little bit long there now, and that makes it a bit awkward. Let's trim away our waist. Another turn or two, just to make sure we don't. And then I'm going to take my Mylar, just thinking which way I want to go. And I'm going to start coating that whole body in Mylar. And what you get is you get the white coming through the Mylar on the sides and the underbody, and then on top you'll have a very subtle but very distinctive, well, kind of, you know, that's kind of contradicting words, but you will see a lovely green kind of shimmer coming down the back of that fry pattern. The camera, I don't think it's going to, no, of course it's not. I really am. Every week I'm working on these cameras, trying to perfect them, the lighting and everything. Someday I will get there, but you do get a, you know, you do get the visual of that kind of nice darker back on the fry, with the kind of more white pearly in the underbody and the sides. Google is the queer job for the answers. Thank you, Eugene. Hope you're good there, Eugene Fagan. Now, as a thorax here, I'm going to add in a little bit of red CDC. Okay, this is DeVoe red CDC. Did Dave put up the question yet? I'll just go back here for a second. Maybe that's what. Who is historically known as the father of fly fishing? Mark Rogan there, very good. Isaac Walton the fifth, very good, Mark. So fifth correct answer in on that one. Who was historically known as the father of fly fishing? Fifth correct answer wins that nice lucky bag. I'm just plucking off some of the little fibres off of that red CDC feather, just off the sides, and just creating a little bit, just dubbing them onto that thread. Bring them up there, just up at the head, and tie them in up there. Bring your thread on the underside of the CDC. Dennis Schooling. Dennis, congratulations, Dennis. Dennis Schooling is our winner. Dave has it up there. Well done, Dennis Schooling. Isaac Newton. Dennis was the 5th correct answer in. And Dennis, I have a lovely little lucky bag on the way to you Monday morning. Now, just take off my thread there. And see, I've got a little bit of red. Dubbing up there now near the head. And once again, we're going to go through the same process of adding in our eyes. Okay? So, fly on the side. Just make sure you get a press down, get a look at it, make sure nothing's going to interfere with your resin as you go in. And get the nozzle right in there. These nozzles are very handy on these. So this is the resin I'm using here, is the Solarez Fly Tie resin, thin hard. It's the blue bottle, and the blue bottle is the size is 0.5 ounce, and it comes with that nozzle and one or two other nozzles with a super handy nozzle for this kind of work. Not Jackie and Graham Lanigan, was Jackie Chan. You're very welcome, Dennis. So then I got my little silver holographic eyes here, and I just add that one in there. And just get it into position. There we go. That's the best thing with the Solarez. You can move it around a bit till you get it in position, and once that's in position, it ain't going anywhere. Again, same process on the other side. Little double of that. Great feedback from the shows last week, folks. Great to be back on here. Great to see so many people look forward to the shows, you know. It's great as talking about people contributing to the show, but it's also great so many people watch it and give great feedback during the week. You know, that's the reason why we do it week after week, year after year, is because, you know, you enjoy it, you get something out of it. As long as you guys enjoy it, guys and girls enjoy it and get something out of it, I'll keep doing them. I love doing the shows, love sharing the information we have. And there we go. Lovely little fry pattern. Really good fish catcher. Can be fish just sitting on the surface along the margins on a windy day. I'll certainly tease a few trout to come up and take it. Really good stocky pattern as well. Okay, going to move on to the last one swiftly now, folks. Another CDC pattern. This one is an intriguing little pattern. I'm going to have to pull this one out. It's so I remember sitting in. I was trying to think today. It was way back in the early noughties. I was either in Czech Republic or Poland or somewhere at the championships, and I was sitting in a restaurant overlooking. I think it could have been on the Vltava in Czech Republic. I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, sitting on the bank of the river at a restaurant, having our dinner, looking in at the river. The river we were looking at was, I think, was the Vltava, if I'm correct. And it, we could see there was stocked fish in the river as well as some wild trout. But people were feeding the fish bread and stuff like that. Come up and tag it. And at one stage, I spotted a small fry. Myself and a couple of our comrades there, Irish as well as Czechs. Garrett, how do I prepare that CDC? So basically I'm just pulling out plumes out of a bag and just marrying up all the heads or the natural tips together. There's about 10 small little plumes of CDC in that, if that's what you're talking about, preparation. Other than that, I just tie them in. That's all I do. Graham, he's on contract, Graham. He's on a contract. Nothing we can do here in Scary Fly. He signed a contract. We signed a contract with him, so he's the quiz man. We're stuck with him for another while, Graham. We're stuck with him for another while. But anyway, so we start talking. Oh, look at the fish coming up, taking the bread. People throwing bread out of the restaurant and the trout feeding on him. And then I noticed a little fry coming, kind of, whether it was injured or whether it had been attacked by another fish, come down, and you could see it as clear as day. And this bloody big stocky came up and took it. So we thought, geez, you know, fucking we'll fish some floating fry and stuff. Well, at the time we didn't have a massive amount of materials with us, but you know, we were inventive kind of crowd. So we sat down and we tied this little fry pattern that we're going to tie for you now, and we did really well on it. Look, we didn't win the championships or anything, but we did really well on it, and it is something I have fished quite regularly since. Make sure I have the right hooks here now. Something I have fished quite regularly since. Probably don't fish it enough. You're very welcome, Gareth, if that answered you correctly. Probably not often enough. And when I was tying, I was sitting down thinking of floating fry. Oh yeah, I must reinvent that fly and tie it again and share with you guys and see what you think of it. You know, it really came inspired. Jeez, I must tie a couple of them for the box and fish them. And this is a pure dry fly. Okay, this is dry fly for river, was invented for. Can be fished on. It can be fished on It can be fished. You love it, Dave. You love it. It can be fished on lakes, but this was initially designed for rivers, river dry fly. If the trout are on the fry. Okay, fish it next year, and love to hear your feedback, and you'll be quite presently surprised. So here I got a 301 size 12 in the hook, and we are going to start off by, as usual, putting in our Kevlar tying thread. As usual, by this stage of the show, the placing a bit of a tip. So I'm going to root here and find everything. So bear with me on this one, folks. Lovely little pattern. Sure, if you got hold of this pattern and done a bit of work with it, some of the fly tires out there can make some very interesting. So here I got a small bag of CDC. This is the cut stuff. This is all the stuff I've left over when I'm doing, let's say, the likes of that last fly, and I got little bits of butt ends of CDC. I don't throw them out. I keep them. I strip them for dubbing, and for different other things. I use them for small, tiny, little size 20 dries and stuff like that. Just pull off some of the fibres. And also, they're perfect for doing something like this. So I'm looking for two specific kind of little ends here for a moment. So these are all pre-cut. These are all waste ends cut off. There's one in here. So I'm looking at two nicely shaped CDC feathers. Bear with me 1 second now and I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, not bad. Okay, so you can see they're cut. You got a cut end to them. Okay, and we're going to put them back to back so that the natural curvature is on the inside. Put them back to back so they sit nice and flat. Okay, as you can see, like so. Okay, what I'm going to do then is strip away some of that waste so we get that nice clean shape. Oh, sugar, I put them apart. Put them back together there. Just make sure the tip lines up fairly well for the moment. We're going to trim them up in a minute, but that's basically what we want to create. Just a little nice, neat little bit of CDC there. Place them on top. Now to get these to sit perfectly, it's to thread up in between your finger and thumb, catch it, don't pull down, bring it around the hook and pull up. And then bring your thread down the body. And they should sit pretty nice on top, dead flat, pretty much dead flat. And we can tidy them up now in a minute. I'm actually going to just redo that for a second now, folks. Watching the camera, TV and computer all at the same time is a bit... So I'm going to do that process again. Between the finger and thumb, place the feathers on top of the hook, wrap around, pull up, and then come down the hook. That'll do fine. Okay. Trim that away, straighten them off. Come back down and on. Getting everything nicely into position. There we go. And that'll act as our little tail. Okay, bit of tying in this one, folks, so bear with me for a few moments, but it is worth doing. Okay, now we got some white CDC small plums here. And I'm going to take out a bunch of these onto the table here in front of me. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in one white CDC on this side. Don't come back to full length, just come back. You can tie it in 1, 2 turns, have a look at it, pull it into position. Take away your waste and do the same process on the other side. Tips match on both sides. Perfect. And again another white one. Back a little step this time, not quite as far down the hook. You could spin it. Someone's saying, why don't you just spin all that on there and add it all into one time, Peter? But if you spin it, you won't get that flat profile of a fish. You won't get the right shape. Okay, it'll be round. It won't be that flat profile. Okay, so we add them in as we go up along. It's the only way. So there's two little sections of the white. Now what I'm going to do is go back to my cut of the grey, and I'm going to take two little dark cuts of grey, and I'm going to add them in next. And this is just to help with a bit of molten, to look like a bit of molten on the side of the fry. Take another piece for the other side. Any long fibres that might be, it's not dark enough. This one is. I just pluck out any fibres there that are a bit too long and just add them in there like so. We start getting a very nice little molten effect. Sean O'Shea was in the shop today and he said that was a very interesting, Sean's a great customer of ours here, and he watches the show. He was in, geez, that's a very interesting looking little fry pattern you tied, you know, and I said, yeah, it's fantastic, you know, geez, yes, it looks really interesting. I went up and I got it and I brought it down to Sean. Oh my God, he says, it looks so different when you see it in real life. It is, it's a fantastic pattern, and I know the camera's not going to do it massive justice here, but as regards the molten effect and the natural look of it, but trust me, this is an absolute little cracker of a fry pattern. Building it up along here, taking my time, don't rush it, don't let it get too bulky on you, don't overdo it. We're going back to our chopped CDC here again. It's got to be the chopped stuff. So, you know, it's always great to be able to find some resource for these chopped waste bits rather than throwing them in the bin. The natural looking, the natural finish to the plume of CDC, uncut, it's too oval shaped. You know, you need that straight flat cut to get the molten right on the side of the little fly. And again, just adding two of them in. And I'll just finish off that little body now with two more little plumes of white CDC. You can see the photograph I took of it earlier on. Well, the photograph wasn't too bad, but as I said, when Sean come in and actually saw it. So whoever's going to win these flies are going to get two of these little flies sent out to them. Don't forget, all you got to do is share the stream or comment in the comment section. Same for the YouTubers tomorrow or Sunday. If you comment on the stream, say hello to us, we will put you in the draw on Monday to win all these flies. So there we go. That's our main body of the fly. A couple of turns up there near the head just to tidy everything up and see, leave ourselves a little bit of room. Lovely little body, a little bit of molten on the sides. Very nice indeed. That's actually a really nice one. I like that one. Okay, so next thing I'm going to actually pull out the original here. I'm going to get a look at it to make sure I'm on the right track. Okay, so next thing we got that little throat here. Great, Ian. Glad you get. I don't know about what professional. You watching the same one, Ian? Ian's on there. He's watching some professional on the live stream. But you're very welcome, Ian. And if you have any questions ever, Ian, yeah, absolutely, Dennis. Play around with him. It's great. If you have any questions, Ian, don't ever be shy and shoot across or give us a bell here in Piscari Fly. We're always love to help people out, especially people getting into the game. I know how frustrating it can be not to have some kind of someone to bounce ideas off, or especially when buying gear or anything like that at all. You know, never be shy to give us a shout here or shoot us a question on the live shows. We're glad to help you out, something you want to see. So what I'm doing is just adding a little bit of orange CDC in here as a throat. Now it's not a really high fluorescent orange CDC. It's just a nice little it's plain orange, okay? Not really highly fluorescent, but just adds a lovely little orange throat to the underside of that. I'm then going to take a dark olive. This is a much larger dark olive feather here now. Will be more, I would kind of describe as a mayfly feather, as you can see. Much larger. Okay, uncut, still quite natural. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of that. Let's see, this original pattern here again. I'm going to take a pinch of that. Some of the longer ones. I'm going to get one here long enough. There we go. And there's a natural curvature. Don't strip this off. Pick your segment and cut it out. There is a natural curvature to that CDC. Make sure you get it coming down over the top, and that's just going to go in on the back, secured in there, and it just gives that little olive. Again, we're tying a CDC fry pattern, remember, so we need, our color schemes have to be as similar as we can. These are for river trout. They will know the difference. Okay, I'll sit down there now in a few moments. Okay, just to finish off that fly, we're going to then take some more of our grey, our cut grey. Looking for a nice soft piece here. And I'm going to just pluck it off, doing a very similar process what we did with the red on the last one. And it's going to create a little bit of CDC dubbing here by just plucking it off and getting it onto my thread. Just to create a little head. Root through all the rubbish you've left over and get your during some of the dry fly segments I'll use some of these offcuts again. Like Dennis, there's 3 bags. Dennis, I have buckets of the bloody stuff. I have buckets of waste CDC, and I'm always trying to I sure can, Thomas. Yeah, I absolutely can. I can do some streamers for trout. We will be doing a streamer night. We've always done a streamer night with the great Keith McDonald, who got that big sea trout this year. So hopefully Keith will come back on with us later on in the season and do some streamers for trout and salmon. Once I've got that little bit of a head, I'm going to need another bit for that. But during some of the dry fly shows, I've got some patterns that I've kind of used over the years to use up some of this stuff, because I hate waste. Not that I keep every piece of waste, but like there is, it's shame to be dumping CDC when it can be used. So another little bit of that CDC up there in the head, and just secure it in. We'll finish that off. It's lads, if you saw it in real life, you go, oh my god, that's really intriguing. But it is very, very intriguing little fly. So now we're just going to brush all that back, get everything to marry in nicely, and I can trim it, and that's kind of protruding a little bit in the wrong direction or fashion for myself. And get a bit of shape on it. And same as always, then we're going to add in a little bit of we're going to add in our little eyes. Okay, so the eyes we're going to put on this one are very, very small. These are Stonefo eyes. They are 2mm. Okay, hard to find 2mm. They're a little holographic, not kind of similar to the eyes that this Solder or this Sabaya make. These are kind of very flat, almost papery-like. Okay, so same process before. Get your needle. Get your needle ready, get your resin ready, fly on the side, flatten it down. Little blob of resin in there. Get the needle. Absolutely, Liam. Yeah, I tell you, I really hope some people tie these flies, or whoever wins these flies on Monday or Tuesday will actually. I had my needle in the hand, I dropped it, and I went into the load of CDC. I do think I can find it now. But good thing I'm at the desk. I can just reach over here and grab another one. Really interesting to hear some feedback on this. If people, especially the river guys, want to dry fly fish for the river for trout that would be looking for some fry along the margins. It has worked. In there now on top of that piece of resin. There we go. Get into position. And again, you can see the advantage of working with resin there now rather than a super glue. I'm going to have to get the needle actually in to help me with this one. It's so small. There we go. Perfect. And set rock solid. Other side. I'm going to tie up a couple of these now myself during the next couple of weeks, and if I'm on any stocked venues, I'll give them a swim as well just to see. When they're wet, even when you see them damp or kind of after being fished a couple of times and everything kind of comes together on the fly pattern, they really are very intriguing indeed. Get into position. There we go. Perfect. Job done. Not going anywhere. There we have it. What a lovely little fry pattern. No, the camera is no way doing it justice, as of the colour of the CDC, using white CDC with a very light molten effect in it. But Super super beautiful little fly. There's the other one I would have done beforehand. You can see the profile. Profile is perfect for a fry pattern. Profile is perfect for the fly pattern. You can see it as I turn it around there. Lovely little fry pattern. Will float forever. Alright. Simple, you know, a little bit of time, just take your time, less is more on it. Lovely little fry pattern. Really worth a go. I'd say even on the locks that'll fish well. Thanks Declan. Thanks for that Declan. Thanks Thomas. But a really lovely little fry pattern to play around with, folks, or even the idea, the technique behind of doing your CDC fry patterns. Hope some people, thanks Dennis, hope some people give that a go, and I'd love to hear the feedback on it. Thanks Mark. Love to hear the feedback on it. Definitely one I'm going to reinvent back on my box. Hasn't been in a box for a long time, thanks Graham. Hasn't been in the box for last time, but I can guarantee it's going in my box for this winter season and for the up and coming trout season when I'm looking for a few fry feeders. Nice and small, tidy little fry pattern. I say Sean was quite amazed to see it actually in real life today, how it looked in the hand. But you can see the profile. That's why we don't spin it. That's why we add them all on individually to get that lovely little profile of the fry. So there we have it, folks. Saturday night or Friday night's over this week. You have Saturday night to yourselves. All the wives and husbands will be delighted. You say, I'm not going to watch Peter tonight now. I'm going to spend the night with you instead. So they'll think, oh, isn't he great or she great? So enjoy your Saturday night, folks. I'm going to be up with my folks in Wexford, and I certainly will enjoy mine. I hope you all have a good week. The best of luck to all them. A-Wallers on Sunday. I hope you have a great day. Sorry I'm going to miss you. But sure, look, that's it. You know, six years of doing it. Had to take a little bit of a break this year, the way the whole year worked out for me. So I just don't have the time, and practice just would be a zero. And it's just very frustrating going to those events, fishing against the caliber of anglers that would be in AWOL and not being able to practice. So I'll give it a miss for this year. Let someone else in, and we'll see how things go in the future. Please God, I'll get back into it. But I hope you've enjoyed the fly patterns tonight. Thank you so much, as always, for all your support during the week in the shop. Don't forget, if you need any fly tying, fly fishing gear, give us a shout here in pescarifly.com, or pick up the phone, give us a ring, or indeed drop into us for a cup of tea. We love to have people calling in with us. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Got a real interesting show lined up for you next week. Next week we are going to Booby night next week. We promised Dennis last year we do a booby night. Thanks Dee, thanks Damien. I will do Damien Driver. Yeah, I will pass on it. Thanks Brennan. We are going to do a booby night next week, but not your typical booby, what you would think as regards stocky bash and booby. We are going traditional. Okay, this year was probably not the first year I was asked for a lot of them, but I certainly got asked for a lot more this year than ever before. Booby mayflies, booby dabblers, booby this, booby that. Everything was booby. So we are going to be tying 3 cracking patterns: a booby mayfly, booby dabbler, and a booby stimmy next week. Don't miss it. It's going to be a belter of a weekend. Fantastic patterns, and really having a look at this kind of, not really new, but definitely an up and coming phenomenon of putting boobies on our traditional patterns and see how they work. So don't miss that. Next Saturday night live, 8:30 p.m. right here, folks. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great weekend. Don't forget, anyone to share the stream or comment on the stream will be in the draw to win those flies on Monday when Deirdre gets around to the show, and I shall see you all next Saturday night live here on Facebook with Pescari Fly. Good night, everybody. Enjoy your weekend and take care.